Last year, I had a terrible experience. Since then, I can't stay at home alone. I can't sleep in the dark. Even if I go to the toilet, I come back quickly. By the way, I am 19 years old. In the factory where I worked, the salaries were not being paid properly, but we were not even getting overtime pay. That day, there was a big factory-wide demonstration. All the workers were on strike. Nobody wanted to work. Security guards and workers clashed with each other. There were huge incidents. The foremen, who were the boss's lackeys, were writing down the names of those who participated in the strike one by one. They said that they would fire them later. They started to intimidate everyone who went on strike. We also had loan debts. I couldn't quit. I needed that salary even if it was missing. Since no one else was working, I thought, I might as well go home. Normally, I would take the shuttle bus home. But that day, the shuttle didn't run. The bus stop was too far away. I was very tired while walking, and when I got home, I felt very weak and tired. Okay, I hadn't worked, but I was exhausted by the events. I hate fights and arguments. All the yelling, screaming, and crying really tired me out. I wanted to go to bed and lie down. It was afternoon. I had heard that you shouldn't sleep in the afternoon, but I didn't care. I felt so tired at that moment that I didn't believe in such things anyway. I was alone at home and my parents were working, so they would come home late. Anyway, after sleeping for a while, I woke up. I wanted to get up, but I couldn't. The quilt on me was too heavy. My strength was not enough to lift it. I had a closet with a mirror right opposite my bed, and I could see myself in that closet. I struggled under the duvet and tried to get out. And while I was trying to push it off with all my strength, I realized something. The me in the mirror I saw in front of me got out of the bed, stood up and smiled at me horribly. I jumped awake when I saw him, relieved when I realized it was a dream. I went into the bathroom to wash my face with my hands. It was evening, my parents would be home soon. I had to wake up and set the table. While I was washing my face in the bathroom, I leaned over the sink. When I washed my face and looked up, I saw myself again in the mirror, right behind me. This being disguised as me looked at me angrily and then started laughing. I don't know how long I was like that. I came to my senses when my mother knocked on the door. It had been 10 minutes since they arrived. I couldn't even turn off the faucet out of fear. My mother's voice brought me to my senses. When my mother's voice came, it disappeared. I came out of the bathroom frozen, and when I told my mother, she said, "It must have been because you fell asleep in the afternoon." I told her what happened at work, and that was the end of that day. The next day, the news came, the strike was going on. No one was going to work. Those who participated in the strike were going to leave, only I didn't go again. I was alone at home. That day, my parents had gone to work. I think it was Wednesday. I got up early in the morning because I was used to it. I had some breakfast. I took a walk outside, and then I turned on a movie. I don't know how to describe it. I had my phone with me and a voice inside me, or should I say a whisper I heard, asked me to pick up the phone. I picked up the phone. My coworker called. I was very surprised at that moment, but it was not something to dwell on. He told me what happened at work. There was a fight again. A few workers were injured. Some of the workers were even dismissed, and the rest were told that their salaries would be paid. They would be paid by the end of the week. In those 2 days, I was going to get paid, so my friend had given me happy news. But I started to get bored. My heart felt like it was squeezing while I was talking. I said, "Let me hang up the phone, we'll talk later." I put the words in his mouth and hung up the phone. Why was I like this for no reason? It was like my head was spinning. A ringing started in my ears. God, I was alone at home. If something happened to me, I wouldn't be able to hear anyone. I said, "Please don't let anything happen. Please don't let me faint." I was afraid to go to the restroom at that moment. I went to the kitchen and washed my face there, turned off the faucet and started shaking. My body was shaking so hard I couldn't control it. I had the same feeling again, the feeling of looking at the phone. I looked at the phone, and this time it was my father. My father told me that he had a small accident at work, that he was in the hospital, and that I shouldn't worry. How could I not worry? I left the house and went to the hospital. My mother was with my father. My father had cut his finger. He had 8 stitches. I said that must be the reason for the bad feeling inside me. I didn't feel such things before. We had been through so many bad things, and I had never had this feeling before. Anyway, weeks passed, and I didn't experience any incidents in those weeks. One day, while I was at work, an image came in front of my eyes, as if I was watching a video recording or a movie. In that image, the foreman came to me and told me that I was fired. And when he said that, the image disappeared. About an hour later, the foreman came to me and told me that I was among those who had been laid off. But why me? I didn't even participate in the protest. Why am I being laid off? I said, the factory is in a difficult situation. It has to lay off workers. At this rate, it will have to go bankrupt. We are laying off some people. I know how hard it is for you. I spoke on your behalf. But unfortunately, I couldn't do anything. God help you, he said. When I went home, I was very sad. I immediately went to bed and went to sleep. I had a dream. There was a man about my age in front of me. For some reason, I felt that he was not human. He said, "Do you want to be my enemy, or do you want to be my friend?" I felt like saying, "Friend." I said, "I would like to be friends with you." He said, "Then come closer, come to me." I was scared. I took a step or 2 closer. He said, "Come a little closer, you are too far away." I took another step or 2. Again, there was distance between us. He said, "Come a little closer." When I got closer to him, he opened his mouth wide, and black smoke started coming out of his mouth. He blew those fumes towards me. My mouth also opened, and those fumes entered my mouth. I felt like I was suffocating. I started coughing. There was a dry, burning sensation in my throat. When I woke up, it was 2 o'clock. My parents were asleep. I thought I'd hang out on social media for a while and distract myself. I started watching videos on my phone. Then a voice in my ears said, "My friend, look here, my friend. I'm here. Don't you want to come to me?" This voice was made up of multiple voices intertwined. It was robotic and shaky. I said, "I hope that's how it sounds to me." I turned down the volume on the phone. I waited to see if I could really hear it. "My friend, have you seen me yet?" he said. I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm your friend." I said, "I don't want to be friends with you. Don't show up. Go away from my house." "But you wanted to be friends. I fired you. We'll spend more time together now." I punched my parents' wall screaming. My mother prayed over me until morning. When I woke up in the morning, my parents had gone to work, and I was alone at home again. A friend of mine lived nearby, so I went to him. I stayed with my friend until the evening to pass the time. When my parents were coming home from work, I went home. I thought they would be home before me. There was no one at home. I called my mother. First, she told me that things were running late, and she would be a few hours late. I said, "Well, why didn't my father come?" She said, "I don't know. You can call your father and ask him." When I asked my father, he said the same thing, that he was busy, that he would be a few hours late. I went into the living room and turned on the TV. And as soon as I sat on the couch, the TV turned off. As if I was nailed, I couldn't get up from the couch out of fear. I was feeling something again. I started to shake. The door of the living room opened, and the man I had seen in my dream came in. He said, "My friend, welcome." I could only say, "No," he said. "I've done some more work for your parents. Let's be alone for a few hours." He said, "Did I do good?" "No." I shouted and ran to the balcony of the living room. The neighbor woman saw me from across the street. 2 minutes later, the neighbor came. "What happened to you? Why did you scream on the balcony?" she said. I said, "Aunt Sukran, please come in. I'm so scared. My parents haven't come yet." She said, Did a thief break in? What happened? No, not a thief. Come inside and I'll tell you. I told Aunt Sukran everything that had happened to me. I was glad I did. She said she knew a Haja. I'll give him a message. His house was a bit far away. But you should go there. I'll go, Aunt Sukran. I'll go anywhere. As long as I can get rid of this, I said. Aunt Sukran sat with me until my parents arrived. When they arrived, we talked about the matter together and made an appointment with the Haja. When the appointment date came, I went to the Haja's house with my mother and Aunt Sukran. The Haja said that I had fallen asleep in the afternoon and attracted them to me, that we humans were spiritually very weak at that time, and that the time when we were weakest was also the time when they were the strongest. He said, "Son, even praying during the time you were asleep is forbidden according to Islam. Those were the times to be very careful. The jinn who came to exploit my energy and take advantage of me. He was an infidel jinn, and his lineage was from an evil tribe of jinns. They will do anything for their own benefit. I'll write you an amulet. I'll put it inside your skin. You won't take it off even in the bath. It will be with you wherever you go. Don't lose it anywhere." The Haja told me. I still carry the amulet with me. I have never once taken it off my neck. I am terrified that it will get lost. The benefit for me was that I started praying. Such a good came out of this evil. I don't see those beings anymore. I don't even watch scary movies.